quick demonstration of how hover buttons can work using CSS, or one way to do it. So I've got this typical page with a banner and some text, and I've got a navigation bar with some links, and as I hover over them I get a beautiful color change. You'll notice as well it's not just the text that I can click, it's the whole box that I can click, and it takes me to those places. See how that works. So I've set this page up, the normal stuff, where I've got a wrapper and I've got a header and I've got a content and I've got a div for my navbar, that's the horizontal div. And then inside that navbar I've got 4 spans, one for each of those 4 links. A span is an inline element, so that means that it doesn't automatically get blocked down to the next page. I've given them a class, so I've given them a name, nav button, but instead of using ID, I've used class. The reason for that is ID is used for individual things, you're only going to have one of them. A class is when you're going to have multiple things with the same style. So then I've got the class, nav button, and then I've got a link, a and /a and /span. You will notice, by the way, that my link, my ahref, has also got a class. So I've got class nav button and I've got a class nav link. Bear in mind these names are just ones that I happen to have used. It would actually be good if you didn't use exactly the same names in your solution. It doesn't always look great when everyone hands the same thing in. So let's just have a look at what's going on in the CSS for this. CSS is here. So I've got all the usual stuff: body, wrapper, header, nav bar, just the nav bar 50 pixels, 100% width. I could have specified an exact width, but I've gone percentage this time. This is the section that does the navigation buttons. So the .nav button, that's the span. So I've given it a color, a width and a height, as you'd expect. I've also said display inline block. And then below that I've got the same nav button, but it's nav button hover. So this is the extra style that is applied when you hover your mouse over the nav button. Notice it still keeps all of the other styles here, but this will override this. So instead of having that style there, it will apply that style there. Okay. I've also had to do nav link as width 100%, height 100% display block. That makes it fit the entire span that it's in. Otherwise, it's only the actual link text that is clickable, and I wanted them to be nice big buttons. So the overall effect is this. Obviously this looks pretty bad. You would be expected to do something about getting these bits of text to fit nicely, to make it look like nice buttons, maybe rounded corners, maybe a gradient effect, whatever. There's lots more to do, but the hover effect is what I'm looking at here. One last thing, you'll notice in the CSS I've put comments. So I'll put a comment here at the top. That's not anything that's actually used by the browser. It's just saying to someone else who's looking at it, like you, that this whole section I've said set up all the divs to the wireframe, and then this section I've explained what's going on here, hover button, and this is the one that changes the color when you hover the mouse. So it's just explaining the more complex stuff that's happening here. It makes it easier to navigate and understand for anyone trying to look at your code. You need to do this for your solution. I've also got some HTML comments. So I've got a comment here at the top which says what the page is about. Just as an example, I've put a comment here that says this is what the wrapper div is for, and then here I've put an explanation for you. I've said the nav bar is the horizontal navigation bar, and I've said about the spans being used instead of the divs in this section.